I never imagined the loudest sound in my life would be the silence that followed your absence. It wasn't the hospital monitor beeping its last. It wasn't the phone call or the funeral or the crying. It was the morning after, when the kettle boiled and there was no second cup to pour. When the news played on the television, but no one argued back about politics. When your chair across the table sat still, untouched, waiting for someone who would never return. No one prepares you for that kind of quiet. They tell you about grief, about the stages, about the new normal, but no one tells you how loud the silence becomes, how it follows you from room to room, how it climbs into bed with you, how it whispers in the spaces where laughter once lived. It's in the small things, folding laundry for one, making just a single slice of toast, setting the thermostat and realizing no one's there to complain it's too cold. That's when I knew I hadn't lost just you. I'd lost the sound of being two, the rhythm of partnership, the comfort of someone breathing beside me, even if we didn't speak a word. And in that aching silence, I started to realize all the things I wish I had known, not about death, but about love and presence, and how deeply someone's absence can echo through everything they ever touched. This is for you. And for anyone learning how to keep breathing in the hush they never asked for. I used to think silence was peaceful. Back when you were still here, I loved the quiet mornings. The two of us sitting in our own corners of the house. You with your newspaper, me with my cup of coffee. No words, just the occasional glance. A shared smile across the room. That was the kind of silence that felt full, warm, alive. But now, the silence is different. It doesn't soothe me anymore. It surrounds me. It presses against the walls of this house and creeps under the doorways. It hums in the background of everything I do. I never knew silence could be so loud. I never knew it could echo like a scream I can't stop hearing. People talk about losing their spouse like it's one event, one goodbye, one moment of parting. But in truth, it's 1,000 tiny losses, a slow unraveling of the world you built together. And the silence is where those losses hide. You walk into the kitchen, and there's no clinking of your spoon against the cereal bowl. No radio playing that same old song you used to hum off-key. No footsteps padding down the hallway. No voice calling out, "Did you see my glasses?" The silence speaks. It reminds you of everything that's missing. Sometimes I sit in our bedroom and realize I can hear the ticking of the clock more clearly than I can remember your voice. That thought alone can break a person. It's not the dramatic moments of grief that crush you. It's the quiet ones, the subtle, invisible grief that rises when nothing happens at all. I never knew how empty one side of the bed could feel. I never realized how much noise there was in the act of brushing your teeth while someone else hums a tune nearby. I never expected to miss the sound of someone just breathing beside me. And the hardest part is, the world keeps moving. The birds still sing. The mail still comes. The neighbors still mow their lawns. But inside these walls, the silence is like a guest that won't leave. Uninvited, unrelenting, always there. Sometimes I speak aloud just to hear my own voice. I ask questions I know won't be answered. I laugh at things on TV just a little louder than I normally would. Not because I find them funny, but because I want the room to feel a little less hollow. A little less like a space carved out by absence. And yet, somewhere in all that silence, there's something sacred too. It's where I sometimes feel you most. Not in the noise, not in the distractions, but in the stillness. In the way the afternoon light falls across your favorite chair. In the way the air smells just like your aftershave on certain mornings. In the memories that whisper through the walls when everything else goes quiet. I wish I had known that silence could hold so much. That it wasn't just emptiness, but also memory. That it could hurt, yes, but also remind me of the life we had. A life so rich, so full of sound, that its absence feels unbearable now. If you're sitting in your own silence today, wondering if anyone else knows what it feels like, I want you to hear this. You're not alone in that quiet. I'm there too. And so are many others who've lost someone they loved more than words can hold. Let the silence speak if it must. Let it ache. Let it echo. But don't let it convince you that love is gone. Because love doesn't vanish in the quiet. Sometimes it's where love lingers the longest. They told me the first year would be the hardest, the first birthday without you, the first wedding anniversary spent alone, the first Thanksgiving where your chair sat empty, the stuffing untouched, the first Christmas morning without your sleepy smile and your ridiculous reindeer sweater. And yes, those days hurt. They split my heart open in ways I never expected. But what no one warned me about, what no one said aloud, is that grief doesn't wait for anniversaries. It doesn't knock politely on the door each December, or show up only on days with red circles on the calendar. Grief just comes. It came on a Tuesday morning in March, when I opened the closet and your jacket still hung there, smelling like you, soft from years of wear. It came on a summer afternoon, when I heard someone laugh your laugh across the grocery aisle and had to steady myself against the cart. It came one ordinary evening when I dropped a plate and instinctively turned to say, "Don't worry, I'll clean it up," only to realize no one was there to hear it. No one tells you that grief can bloom out of nowhere, that you can go weeks feeling steady, functional, even hopeful, and then a smell, a sound, a phrase on a radio sends you spiraling back into that empty space. I used to think I was doing something wrong, that if I was still crying 6 months in, or still aching 2 years later, then I wasn't healing right. But the truth is, grief isn't a straight line. It's a spiral. Some days it loosens its grip, and you breathe a little easier. Other days, it tightens around your chest, and you find yourself grieving like it happened yesterday. And that's okay. You don't get over the loss of a soul that shared your bed, your meals, your dreams. You learn to live beside the ache. You learn to carry it. Grief doesn't respect time. It respects love. And the deeper the love, the longer it echoes. I've learned not to judge myself for the days that catch me off guard, for the times I still reach for your side of the bed, for the tears that come while doing something as simple as folding towels, because love lingers in the routine, and that's where grief often hides too. So now I stop asking myself, shouldn't I be better by now? And instead I ask, can I be gentle with myself today? Grief is not a weakness. It is proof of connection. It is a love story with nowhere else to go but inward. I used to dread the big dates, birthdays, anniversaries, holidays, thinking they would destroy me. But more often than not, it's the quiet, forgotten moments that break me open. And oddly, they're also the ones that remind me most of how deeply I loved you, of how real our life was. So if you're grieving and wondering why it still hurts on a random Wednesday afternoon, please know you're not failing. You're feeling. You're human. You're loving still. And maybe the goal isn't to get past the grief. Maybe the goal is to allow space for the love, even when it returns dressed in tears. It wasn't the big moments I missed most. Not the trips. Not the celebrations. Not even the anniversaries. It was the little things. The quiet things. The things I never thought to memorize because I assumed they'd always be there. Like the way you used to hum when you chop vegetables. Not a full song. Just a soft, tuneless rhythm, like your hands and heart were moving together. I still find myself standing in the kitchen, knife in hand, waiting for that sound to return. Or how you'd always fold the laundry inside out. I used to tease you about it. Who folds socks like this? And now, when I do laundry, I pause before turning them right side out, because somehow it feels like folding them your way brings you closer. There were 1,000 little rituals like that. The way you tap your toothbrush twice on the edge of the sink. The way your side of the bed always had a book halfway finished. The smell of your favorite hand lotion lingering in the bathroom drawer. Your mug, always the blue one, even when there were newer, shinier options. Back then, they were just habits. Now, they feel holy. I remember one morning, you were making toast. The toaster had this annoying habit of burning just one side. I was frustrated, muttering about how we needed to replace it. And you said calmly, or we just learn to eat the toast that life gives us. I rolled my eyes, but now I'd give anything for one more slice of uneven toast, just to hear your voice. Funny, isn't it? The things we thought were ordinary, they become sacred once they're gone. I used to rush through those mornings. I had bills to pay, errands to run, things to do. We all did. I assumed there would be thousands more mornings like them, so I didn't hold on to them the way I should have. But now I go slower. I sit longer. I stir my tea the way you did, 3 slow circles and a tap. I don't need to do it that way. I just do, because in those motions you're here, even if only in memory. And sometimes I wonder, what if I had known? What if I had realized in the moment that these ordinary days were the gold? Would I have lingered a little longer at the table? Would I have listened more closely when you read aloud from your mystery novels? Would I have asked you to dance in the kitchen more often instead of just laughing you off? Maybe, maybe not. But now I know the holy isn't always loud. Sometimes it's the sound of someone slicing an apple. Sometimes it's a glance across a room that says, I see you, without a single word. Sometimes it's the stillness of a shared morning, warm mugs in hand, no rush at all. That's what I carry now. Not just the memories, but the shape of them, the weight of those small, beautiful nothings. And so, if you still have your someone, your quiet mornings, your uneven toast, your songless humming, hold it a little closer today. Notice it, savor it, let it imprint. Because one day you might realize those were the sacred parts all along. Grief has its own weight, heavy, yes, but in time, you learn to carry it. You learn to breathe around it. But regret digs deeper. It lingers in the quiet corners of the soul, whispering all the things you can never go back and change. I think about the last time we argued. It was about something small, some bill, some appointment I forgot. I was tired. You were frustrated, and we both went to bed without saying goodnight. Now, I can't remember the argument, but I remember the silence afterward. And I remember waking up the next morning to find you already making coffee. Like always, you smiled at me, that soft sideways smile that meant we're okay. And I smiled back, but I never said I'm sorry. I never said I love you that morning. And that's the part that follows me. I wish I had known how final last can be. The last hug, the last walk, the last cup of coffee together. You always think there'll be more. One more weekend, one more dinner, one more chance to say what you meant to say. But sometimes life doesn't offer that. And it's not just the big things I regret. It's the missed opportunities to be gentle. The times I was too busy to sit beside you while you folded laundry. The way I let your birthday slide into routine instead of celebration. The phone call I rushed through because I was late for something I can't even remember now. There were so many chances to say, thank you, or you mean the world to me, or I'm proud of you for how you carried us through the hard times. I miss them, not because I didn't love you, but because I thought I had time. And I think that's what regret is. Really, it's not a lack of love. It's love that ran out of time. Sadness visits in waves, but regret settles like a shadow. It makes me pause now. With everyone I still have left in my life, I hold eye contact a little longer. I say, I love you, even when it feels vulnerable. I don't let the sun go down on sharp words if I can help it, because I learned too late that what you leave unsaid can echo louder than anything you ever spoke. And I try to forgive myself too, because regret also has a cruel way of rewriting the past. It makes you forget all the things you did right. It buries the laughter, the daily acts of love, the nights you held hands in silence because words weren't even needed. But the truth is, I loved you the best way I knew how. And I know you knew that. Still, if I could go back, I would have slowed down more. I would have looked into your eyes longer. I would have let go of the small things and held on to you tighter. So now, when I feel the sting of regret, I try to turn it into a promise. To do better with those still here. To speak softer. To love louder. To never assume that tomorrow will come. Because the one thing I've learned after losing you is this. Grief is painful, but regret, that quiet, invisible ache of almost, it lingers far longer. They say life goes on, and it does. The neighbors still wave when they water their lawns. The grocery store still plays that same soft jazz in aisle 7. Children still laugh as they race down sidewalks. And birthday invitations still arrive in the mail, signed with cheerful handwriting. But the strange thing about grief is that it makes everything feel distant. Like you're standing behind glass, watching the world move without you. You smile, you nod, you say all the right things, but inside, something stays quiet. After I lost you, I thought the hardest moments would be the nights, the silence, the empty bed, the meals eaten alone. But what caught me off guard was a loneliness I felt in rooms full of people. I remember the first family gathering without you. Everyone was kind. They hugged me. They asked how I was doing. But after the initial greetings faded, I found myself standing by the window, drink in hand, surrounded by laughter that didn't quite reach me. You used to stand beside me at these things, always finding ways to make me feel at ease. Your hand would rest gently at the small of my back. Your voice would whisper something only I could hear. You were my anchor in the noise. Without you, I float. Even in church, where I once felt such comfort, I now sit in the same pew, alone. I still mouth the hymns. I still bow my head in prayer. But there's a space beside me that no one seems to see, and it feels louder than the choir. It's strange how absence becomes a presence, how the lack of someone fills a room more than any crowd. There are days I walk through the farmer's market, pretending I'm browsing, when really I'm just looking for a trace of us. The cheese stall where you used to joke with the vendor, the peach stand where you always pick the ripest ones. Now I walk past these things alone, smiling like everything's fine, but inside, I'm carrying an invisible weight. I've learned how to answer "How are you?" without flinching. I've learned how to laugh at jokes that don't reach my heart. I've even learned how to leave early, quietly, when it becomes too much. But still, some part of me aches. Because grief doesn't just take the one you love. It takes the version of you that existed when they were near. And so, while the world moves forward, you're left searching for your place in it. Again. And yet, there is something beautiful, too, in knowing that you can still show up. Even when your heart is heavy. Even when your arms are empty. Even when your favorite person isn't there to share the moment. Because showing up, being present, is its own kind of quiet bravery. I may be alone in the crowd now, but I carry you with me in the way I hold my posture, in the way I say thank you, in the way I notice people standing alone and walk toward them. I become gentler, softer, quieter, but deeper. So if you ever find yourself surrounded by noise but feeling unseen, know that I see you. And I understand. You're not strange. You're not broken. You're just grieving in a world that doesn't always slow down to notice. But I see you. And maybe, just maybe, someone else in that room does too. For a long time, I believed that love ended the day you left. That your final breath was also the last chapter of our story. I thought, how can there be love if the person is gone? And for a while, I lived inside that belief, heavy, hollow, and still. But then something began to happen. It didn't come all at once. It came in flickers, in moments I didn't expect. The first time I cooked your favorite soup just because it reminded me of you. The first time I reached out to comfort someone else who had lost their partner and found your gentleness in the words I offered. The first time I walked past your favorite park bench and instead of crying, I sat, I smiled, and I whispered, I'm still here. That's when I began to understand. Love doesn't die with a person. It stays. It stays in the way I fold your old sweaters and place them neatly in the drawer. Not because I need them, but because they once held you. It stays in the music you loved, in the recipes you memorized, in the phrases you use that I catch myself saying now without thinking. It stays in how I care for our children, in the values we shared, in the way I still make the bed with your side, slightly tucked the way you liked it. You see, love doesn't leave. It changes shape. At first, it hurts, because it has nowhere to go, not in the way it used to. It used to be a hand to hold, a cheek to kiss, a voice across the dinner table. Now it becomes memory. It becomes legacy. It becomes a quiet strength that helps me get out of bed on the hard mornings. It becomes the reason I still light a candle on your birthday. The reason I pause at sunset, remembering how you loved to sit and watch the sky turn gold. I wish I had known that your love would stay with me. Not like a shadow, but like a light. That it would show up in my dreams, in the corners of old photographs, in the scent of your cologne on the scarf I haven't worn since. I wish someone had told me that love, once truly given, never disappears. It just moves inward. It takes root in the heart. And there are days, yes, when the ache returns. But even in the ache, there's love. Even in the tears, there's proof. You mattered. I used to speak about you in the past tense. She used to. Now I speak differently. I say, he still makes me smile when I remember this. She still teaches me even now. Because the truth is, we are not only shaped by those we love when they're living, we are shaped by them long after. Love leaves fingerprints on our habits, our choices, our hearts. And maybe that's the most beautiful, painful, powerful thing I've learned. Goodbye ends a presence, but it cannot end love. So if you've lost someone and you feel like your love has nowhere to go, let it live in your actions, in your memories, in your stories. Because when love is real, when it is woven through time and touch and tenderness, it becomes a part of you, and it never truly leaves. There was a time I couldn't bear the quiet, the silence after you left was suffocating. Too wide, too deep, too final. It swallowed the corners of our home, crept into the folds of my clothes, lingered in the air like something unfinished. I used to run from it, turn on the television just to fill the space, keep the lights on all night, stay out longer at the store, so I wouldn't have to face the stillness of our empty living room. But something shifted, not suddenly, not all at once, but gently, like the way light begins to filter through blinds in early morning. At first, just a line across the floor, then a warmth, then a presence you didn't realize you missed. I began to sit with the quiet, not to fight it, not to fill it, just to be in it, to let it stretch out beside me like an old friend. And slowly I noticed something. The silence wasn't empty. It was full of the echo of your laughter, full of the memory of your footsteps in the hallway, full of the shape your love left behind. This space I once feared became sacred. It held grief, yes, but also gratitude. It reminded me of what once was and what still lingers. I stopped trying to outrun the ache. I stopped wishing away the lonely afternoons. Instead, I made space for them. I let the ache sit beside me. I let the sadness pour a second cup of tea. And in doing so, I found something I didn't expect. Peace. I realized that the hole you left behind wasn't meant to be filled. It was meant to be honored. Because that space, that void, is the shape of your absence. And more importantly, the shape of your presence that once filled my life so fully. Now, when I walk into the kitchen and instinctively reach for 2 mugs, I don't flinch. I smile. When I wake in the middle of the night and roll toward the side of the bed where you used to sleep, I rest my hand there, not in sorrow, but in remembrance. I still cry. Sometimes, grief doesn't leave you. It softens, but I no longer fear it. Because I know now it's not just pain. It's proof. Proof that I love deeply, that I was loved in return. And that kind of love doesn't disappear. It expands. It grows quieter, yes, but also deeper. I've learned that living with the absence of someone you love isn't about moving on. It's about moving forward, carrying them with you in quieter, more subtle ways, in how you treat others, in how you find beauty in the ordinary, in how you choose softness, where once there was hardness. So now, I light a candle not because I'm grieving, but because I'm remembering. I tend to garden not to distract myself, but because I know how much you love seeing things bloom. I sit on the porch and watch the sky darken, because that was always your favorite time of day. And in these quiet rituals, I don't feel alone anymore. You are gone, but your love is not. And neither am I. I am still here. I am still living. I am still loving. And somehow that's enough. If this video found you in a quiet moment and offered even a little comfort, please consider giving a like or sharing it with someone who might need to feel less alone today. And if you'd like to walk through more moments like this together, I'd be honored to have you subscribe. Thank you for being here. Truly.